was feeling lonely. I felt I wanted to jump, but when I saw her walking, she made my bubblegum pop. She showed me the meaning of true love. Now I want to shine it from above. Nice blue eyes do my own tell lies, hypnotized and so mesmerized. Holy heck, gotta treat her with respect, 'cause she's the best that a boy could get. My new song, Nice Blue Eyes, is now available on Spotify and iTunes, and soon to be a lot of other streaming platforms. Now, I've never done this before. I've been meaning to with the other songs I've done with my other group. This is for my solo project. And I've never really talked about how I write the song, the song from beginning to end. Like, beginning as in writing it, and end as in recording it and releasing it. So it just got published today. I will put a link in the description. Whoa, let's not have that happen. Now, this is going to be a long video because there's a lot to talk about, and I've written down some notes here on Notepad, so hopefully I don't stutter too much. So, as you guys probably know, I've really been into the Archies and bubblegum pop in general. I mean, here's my signed Ron Dante poster. I actually just got this too. I got an autographed book from Rupert Holmes, because my real last name sounds too much like Pina Coladas, and he actually had him write that. And he actually wrote, with respect and friendship for a highly musical person. So I think he looked me up. It's like, there's no way there could be a guy with that actual name, but anyways. Okay, back to the song, though. Okay, so where do we start? Well, let's talk about writing the song. So one day, I don't know, there's probably a scientific term for this, but I don't know what it is. But the point where, before you wake up, but you're still asleep, but like right before I woke up, I heard these words in my dreams. And I kid you not, it went, nice blue eyes, do mine own tell lies, holy heck, treat her with respect. Now, bubblegum music is 99% love songs. In fact, very unrealistic love songs, which is the only thing I don't like about these lyrics, is that they're very fake. But that's kind of bubblegum pop in general. It's not really rooted in reality. I mean, the Archies was a cartoon show for a reason, you know? So, I'm not a good lyricist. I've always been a very bad lyricist. If you listen to my lyrics, they're very corny and stuff. I just look for stuff that rhymes, and I just go with it. I mean, I really do try to make good lyrics. I just never end up succeeding. So, this was the first song that I actually released that I didn't record in my room. Most of the stuff, every other song, at least at the time I make this video, every other song except this that you listen to online, on my Spotify or wherever, all of that was done in my room. So it's not like the worst quality ever, but it's very, very different, I guess you could say, when you listen to this song now that I just released. Because this one was recorded in an actual recording studio. It was a very expensive session. It was, let's see, it was $750 for 2 days. So that was, what, $1,500? And then I ended up getting it mastered for $225. But we'll talk about that. Lyrics, there's not a whole lot to say. It's a very unrealistic love song. Maybe I got a little inspiration from Bang Shang-a-Lang by the Archies, but I tried to keep it original. But the story, I noticed, is very similar. The guy sees a girl, gets attracted, they end up marrying each other, living a happy life for all eternity, which is so unrealistic. That's why I said earlier the lyrics are very fake, you know? But again, a lot of bubblegum pop is like that. So, I always hated the lyric, holy heck, treat her with respect. I didn't think the Archies would ever say that, but I couldn't think of anything else. And actually, right now, when I think about it, they're saying stuff like bang shang a lang or la di doo down down or things like that. So it's like I guess it wasn't the worst thing to say. And I actually tried to think of a different lyric, and I was very unsuccessful with doing so. So it was like, okay. So the only lyric that I didn't hear in my dream on that chorus is hypnotized and so mesmerized. Um, and then she's the best that a boy can get. Now I said boy for two reasons. One, it's the Archies, or it's in the style of the Archies, so it's supposed to sound like it's sung by younger people. More on that later with the vocals. So, and also I didn't want people to think I was referring to Gillette. If I don't know where in the world they sell Gillette besides the U.S. or maybe Canada, but it's a company and makes shaving cream, which of course I don't ever use. But that's their tagline: the best a man can get. So that's why I changed the lyric to boy. Other than that, not much to say about the lyrics. I mean, it was penned. I will show you guys this. I wish, I bought. So here's the thing. I've always written my lyrics down in Windows Notepad. I just feel it's very accessible, very easy to use. You just literally open up and type your stuff in. But later, I started seeing more and more of songwriters' handwritten lyrics, and I thought, I'm still gonna write them on Notepad, but I'm also gonna write them down on paper. So there's something about it, like not otherworldliness, but like, it's like you see the personality in the writing and stuff. So let me show you guys the lyric sheet. But this freaking binder I bought, or this notebook I bought, it's really cheap. These pages keep tearing off and everything. This one's about to. It hasn't yet, but it's close to it. Here's the original handwritten lyrics, and it'll surprise you to see that all the verses, choruses, and even the song title are labeled out in Japanese text. Katakana to be precise. I guess I wrote these lyrics on May 17th, and there's the date up there. But of course my camera quality is really crappy, so you're not going to see that. So yeah, I decided to write that, and actually there's another pre-chorus and chorus that I wrote too, or verse and pre-chorus that I wrote for the song. Those ended up getting scrapped because bubblegum pop is usually really short, like around 3 minutes or less, and that would have padded out the song to like 4 or 5 minutes, or extended the length to it, and it's like, that's not gonna work for bubblegum songs. So when I came in to record it, I cut those verses. I mean, I already knew I was gonna cut them anyway. I actually recorded a home demo that I sent to the producer, and we're gonna talk about him in a minute. And so anyways, what was I saying? Okay, so I cut the verses. I recorded a home demo to send to the producer, so he would know what I'm coming in to record. He'd know exactly what I was coming in to do, and then I'd be out. So maybe someday I'll release that home demo, but I really don't intend on it because it sounds really crappy, especially compared to this recording. Now I think he thought that I wanted to play the drums to this, and we'll get to the drums here in a minute. Excuse me, but so he was like, so what happened was, I don't have a drum kit, and I don't have a drummer I can hire. I don't have that kind of budget, and it took me a long time to save up for this recording session, and even then, my father, who is like the best dad in the world, actually helped pay for the sessions. So, see, this is what I was trying to avoid, the stuttering. So anyways, a lot of my songs, I write a MIDI file with a drum kit. My Yamaha keyboard here has a very good sounding drum kit, like an acoustic set that I usually use. So because I have no choice. I have no other way of getting drums, and this is as realistic as drums I can get while being able to actually make drums. Because I don't know like FL Studio and stuff like that. So, anyways, so yeah, drums were done that way. I'm not a very good drummer. Ironically, that was I got snare drum lessons when I was in high school, and that's the only reason I'm decent on that. But I've never had drum lessons. I've always been a pretty crappy drum player, or drummer, I guess is the word. And I was actually practicing the drum line at this, like I'd go to Guitar Center like every other weekend. I'm sure I was driving them nuts by practicing the song, and in particular, I was really bad with the kick drum. So this was the thing that was worrying me. I thought, I'm not going to be able to record this. You know, like, or if I do, it's going to have to be recorded with a drum track. And the producer said, well, we can do the drum track, but is there any way you can get me a stereo mix of that? Because you gave me a mono mix, and that's another thing. All my songs are done in mono, because that's the only way I can record at home. So this song I just released, So Nice Blue Eyes, is recorded in stereo. So hopefully that will give your ears more pleasure when you listen to it. So, anyways, he said, well, I break this up though, because I wrote the MIDI file, I think, at 124 beats per minute. But every computer processes stuff differently. And also, I use the PC, and the producer uses a Mac. So, he uses Logic, Pro Tools. I wrote it in Digital Orchestrator on a virtual machine, because that was all I had. And, um, so, anyways, I gave him the demo, and I gave him the drum track at the same time, and he said, well, here's the problem. Your drum track, you said it was at 124 beats per minute. Well, Pro Tools doesn't think it's 124, it thinks it's 123, and it's not really synchronizing up. So, but he said, why don't you come in, or when you come in to record, let's try the drum track, and let's, well, that's another thing I want to write too. Anyways, so he said, let's come in, just give it your best shot. If not, we'll use the drum track. So when we come in, now my other band, our drummer doesn't know can't really do this, but the producer prefers if you play to a click track. Obviously, that's like when you're recording the drum part, you get like a, 1, 2, 3 from the computer. You get like a steady tempo click from the. That just makes it easier for him to edit stuff, because everything's aligned on a grid or whatever. So I told him I'd never recorded to a drum track before. So it was like, yeah, I guess we can give it a shot. So now let's talk about actually going to the recording studio. So I recorded everything. I perform all the instruments by myself. Everything you hear in that song, besides the mixing and the mastering, was done by me. So I think that they'd call me in Japan a Tarento. Not Tarantino, but Tarento. Someone who's multi-talented. So anyways, I showed up to the recording studio. I recorded this song on August 3rd and 4th of this year, 2024. And I went from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I remember driving down to the studio, I was singing the whole album of Tracy by the Cufflinks. Again, Ron Dante sang on that around the same time he was doing the Archies. So that was just a good way to warm up my vocals. Even though on the first day we weren't going to do vocals till like the very end. And again, I'm gonna explain to you how this works. So yeah, I work from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and you think, whoa, 10 or 2 10-hour sessions? Like, it shouldn't take that long. It should only like take you like couple few hours. You come in, record your song, and you're done, right? Oh no, there's a lot more that goes into it. So also I had to stop for donuts. There's literally Krispy Kreme donuts within walking distance of that place, so I had to run down there and get donuts. Every other time I'm in Seattle and I pass that, I just I always pass it. I'm like, yeah, next time. Well, this time I was like, no, I'm going to do it. I mean, I did it when I got donuts there when I was recording with 31 Nights. But first of all, I recorded at a place called Synergy Productions it's up on Aurora, and this is where we recorded when I was with my last group, Waking Maya. So even though it sucks I got kicked out of that group, it's great that I still am in touch with the producer, Jason Shavey. Jason Shavey isn't just some middle, Mac producer. This guy has some credits under his belt, like working with Alice in Chains and Heart and stuff. It's crazy. Jason, so basically his job was, now I have perfect pitch, which he doesn't have. In fact, he was like, fuck you for having perfect pitch. So it's pretty funny. But But even then, there's still some stuff that he can hear that I may not catch. So that's his job as the producer. If he hears something or if he feels I didn't sing it right or something, he'll let me do it again. And the great thing about that place in general is he makes you feel at home there. It's you never feel like you're working there. I've told people this. I know I sound crazy. I'd rather be locked in the studio recording than I would be at like Disneyland or whatever. You know, just it's so much fun to record. So I go in to record. Again, came in at 11 a.m. And I remember I pulled up, and then he pulled up like literally like a few seconds after I did, and that was after I got donuts. So it's like, wow, talk about good timing. So it's an interesting room. You got your control room. You got all these isolated booths for guitar and stuff, and I'll talk about that as we go on. And there's a kitchen in there, which the piano's in. That's the piano room, but it's also a kitchen, so it's pretty cool. And so the first thing you want to do is record the foundation. Of course, I'm recording this all by myself, or like I'm doing all the instruments on my own. And of course, the first thing that I have to do is drums, which I'm fearing the most. And that was the thing. Going into the session, I was fearing this. I was like, I spent so much money on the session, and it's probably just gonna bomb because if I can't get these drums recorded, there's no. I mean, I'm not worried about the rest of it. These drums just, I can't do it. You know, like I suck at this. But he said, give it your best shot. We're gonna see how this goes. He's like, otherwise you can just play along to your original recording you sent me. We'll have to record it without a click track. Everything's gonna be off sync, but you know, in the program. But you know, that's an efficient way of doing it too. So I said, well, let's try the click track. So of course, first thing, like I said, drums. I hop on the drum kit. Now the first thing he has to do is sound check the drums. And this is a very, very long process. It probably took like half an hour to an hour. I don't recall exactly. Basically, you're hitting the drum, every single drum separately, with different varying degrees of velocity. Mainly, he wants you to play what you're going to be playing in the song. So if you're going to hit some really light and then really hard, you're doing that. So basically, you just keep hitting the drums until he is like, okay, I got that one. Okay, you got the snare, now go on to the hi-hat. Okay, now let's go on the toms. Okay, now it's... And each tom was separate. I think he had like 4 toms. I only ended up using like 3 or something. But, okay, now this cymbal, now that cymbal. Like, you know, it's every individual one. Then after that, he says, okay, now I want you to just play whatever. Like, play what you're going to play on the song. You know, so what I did, I had headphones on so I could hear him from the control room. And I forgot to say, I was in the isolation booth for the drum booth. He was in the control room. So what I do is I take my headphones off. I keep them on, but I slip my earphones under there and listen to my home demo, and then I start playing along to that. And all of a sudden, it sounded really good when I was playing drums. I was like, wow, wait a minute, I might have a shot at this. So when he was done, I said, you know, I was just playing along to my demo on my earphones, and I think I might have this. And he's like, yeah. He's like, that's what I figured. I didn't figure to have such a big deal with it or have a huge problem with it. So let's record. So now there's a process called punching in, which I did almost every single track on the song. That's basically when you make a mistake, you can go back and edit it or redo that particular part that you messed up on to fix it. Now normally I don't like that. I find that as a form of cheating, but under the budget and time that I had, I didn't have a choice. I literally had no choice. So unfortunately we had to do that. It was literally the only way. And the good thing is he was able to make it sound like everything is one take. Well, it's not. There's a few things they did in one take, and I'll talk about that. So we eventually got the drums laid down, and I don't remember how long it took to record everything. It would probably take like 1 to 2 hours per instrument. Unless it was something really simple, like tambourine or hand collapse or something. But okay, so I believe I'm trying to remember the order in which I recorded stuff too, because I remember most of it, but some of it's mixed up. I believe the next thing that I recorded was the bass. Well, I have it in here. I don't really want to go get it, but I used a Music Box Space Ranger, and with flat wound strings on it. I wanted it to sound vintage, and I told Jason this from the beginning. I wanted it to sound vintage. I mean, it's going to sound a little modern anyway because of the technology we're using, but I wanted to sound a little bit vintage. So normally I use my baby, my P bass with round wounds on them, my Sting bass. But let me move this microphone. Sorry if that gave me any noise. So I figured, okay, so I'm gonna record this song. I'm gonna use this bass for that. I think I did bring this bass just in case because I know he really loves the sound this one makes, which is great when the producer like Alice in Chains and Hart says he likes the sound of your instruments. That's great. So, but anyways, I brought my music box. Now the main thing was now I transcribe bass professionally, so um, as I said before, the song was supposed to simulate the Archies. I forgot to say this about the drum track. So my goal was not only writing a song in the style of the Archies, but also performing in the style of the session musicians. Now, fortunately, the Archie session musicians have been documented. Usually, they're not credited. Session musicians aren't. So in this case, like the drums, I was trying to simulate the style of or emulate that style of Gary Chester. And for the bass, I was trying to do Joe Mako. Now he also played with Jim Croce, Bob Dylan, Simon and Garfunkel, all these other bands. So, and because I'd studied his and did all these transcriptions of his bass lines, because I did all these Archie songs, and I even transcribed all of Ron Dante's "Brings You Up," in which he also played uncredited. I only know that because Ron Dante was gracious enough to tell me that. But anyways, I did all these transcriptions of his bass line, so I knew pretty much how to play in his style. So that's what I did. I did my best to make it sound like it was in his style. I also want to point out the guitar, every guitar, including the bass, on the song was tuned a half step down. And it wasn't until recently I found out that my favorite Archie song, "Feelin' So Good, Scooby-Doo," which has nothing to do with the cartoon, it came out a year before Scooby-Doo, the cartoon, was released. That song was recorded a half step down. I think my transcription's in normal tuning, though, because it can be played in normal tuning without great difficulty. And I think I have reason to believe Bang Shang-a-Lang, their first song, was also done a half step down. So, in a way, I was actually doing exactly what I wanted to. I forgot to say this about the composition. It wasn't just supposed to sound like the Archies. It originally was supposed to sound like Sugar Sugar. But it's like, my favorite Archie song is "Feelin' So Good." And that one doesn't have an acoustic guitar part. It has a 12-string electric guitar part, which I don't have. So, I had to kind of improvise. And the electric guitar is the only thing that I thought I failed at with that, because I just did these like chord stings, like bam, 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 bam. That's about it. But I think I got the sound of the guitar good. And so, anyways, okay, back to the bass. I recorded that. I think probably had to punch in a few things. Again, assume I had to punch in things unless I state otherwise. Sorry, this is how it always is. I get notifications every time I'm recording. That's how it is. Anyways, I'm sure you guys don't mind too much, but okay. So the next thing I did was the acoustic guitar. I'm sorry, Jason. I forgot to tune your guitar back to normal tuning. I brought my Martin, but the thing didn't really sound that great, and he had a Gibson Hummingbird that sounded just beautiful. And I said, I want to use that. I mean, I knew I didn't have to ask, but I used that one, and that was recorded in one take. I also wanted to point out the bass track and the electric guitar track were recorded in the control room. It was just plugged into, bass was plugged into the board directly, and the electric guitar, I think, was plugged into one of his amps from the guitar room. He brought the head inside the control room, like he did with the 31 Night sessions that I've done, and and we just recorded that. So the acoustic guitar was done in one take. I didn't make any mistakes there. And okay, electric guitar, Jem Jr. I just talked about that. Then we had in "Feelin' So Good," there's a couple keyboard instruments that I wasn't able to identify as much as I wanted to. And during the verses, it sounds like it's some kind of electrical piano, but not like a Rhodes or a Wurlitzer. But I felt like it was closer to a Fender Rhodes, so I brought my Nord Stage 3 in to do all the keyboard parts. My rule is, since I'm currently... Oh, I forgot this thing was on. Since I'm still paying this thing off, and I'm bringing it down to Seattle, normally I don't want to take it out of the house at all. But I thought, okay, this is for recordings, for professional purposes, and I know I would regret it if I used another keyboard. So I'm gonna bring this, and then again with the 31 night sessions, I've done the same thing. But so I just had to do what I could. Now, since I have the keyboard here, I can actually sample a couple things that I played. Um, Now, feeling so good as a keyboard part during the verses, that's kind of like this. Well, here's how my song starts out. And so I'm trying to remember how it goes in "Feeling So Good." It goes like, "Look it over there, sunshine in her hair. That's my girl, her name is Scooby Doo. Don't you like her style? Don't you like her style? You know I'd walk a mile for Scooby Doo." And then the now on my song on the chorus it goes, "Nice blue eyes, do my own." It's kind of like the same thing. And "Feeling So Good" on that chorus it goes, let's see if I can remember this. Let's see. Oh, my Scooby Doo, I do what you want me to. Oh, my Scooby Doo, got my only hand to reel and feel. Forgot the lyrics, but that's so yeah. There is some similarity. I was trying to play in that same style. In particular, his name, the session keyboardist was Ron Frangipane. So again, just trying my best to make it sound like something that he would have played on the recording. Of course, he's passed away, so there wouldn't have been any way I could get him to play on the record anyway. So that was done. So I ended up using the Fender Rhodes patch on here. I just had to hit the keys pretty lightly, because if you hit on a Fender Rhodes, you hit it too hard, you get a different sound. So, but I love that part, "Feeling So Good." Okay, so anyways, so electric part or electric piano part, did that again, and all the keyboard parts were done in the control room as well. And the Hammond and Vox organ, once again, just trying to emulate Ron Frangipane's style. So I used the B3 with the, you know, I switch between low and high. So hopefully this isn't too loud. I'll turn it down actually. It was full drawbar, by the way. So, I think this is how I played it, just straight up chords. Man, I'm out of place too. I forgot to talk about something important about the composition too. Um, Man, I need to organize this better next time. But so normally, I like using a lot of complex chords, like E7 sharp 9, and then like maybe a E flat major 9 or something like that. Bubblegum pop, not all the time, but generally it's very simplistic in its chords. It's supposed to appeal to the younger audience. So I had to keep the chords simple. So the most complex thing you hear me play is an E7, or in this case, E flat 7, and that's as complex as it gets. Now, so I actually went out of my comfort zone, which is something I would recommend for any composer. Is go out of your comfort zone. If do the opposite. If you normally just do like A, D, E, D or something, how about A6, D major 7, then E minor 7 or E minor 9 or something, then D major 9th or something. Like you can do that. Go out of your comfort zone, because you never know. Like that actually expands your skills. That makes you a better composer. So, anyways, back to okay. So the Hammond organ was there. The Vox organ, I don't really think they used that in the Archies, but there's a organ solo, which this is the only part that kind of detracts from the Archies. This was more of like a reference to another bubblegum pop great, the 1910 Fruit Gum Company. Like they did a song called "Mother, May I Take a Giant Stab into Your Heart." So let me make sure I got the right sound here. I think it was done an octave higher though. But let me. They also did one like in their most popular hit, Simon Says, like um, turn that Leslie off. You know, so fortunately, I think my organ solo here is like way different because it goes like this. How's that? You know, so again, just a little funny thing I added at the end there. So let's see what's next. We got the oh, this is the fun part: the backing vocals, the lead vocals and backing vocals. So lead vocal, again, this is bubblegum pop, and it's generally meant to sound not just appeal to, but it's supposed to sound like it appeals to you know, the younger or it's supposed to sound like the vocalist is supposed to sound like they're from the younger audience. So I had to actually alter my voice when I sang that. Not with any fancy effects or anything. It was all done by just me. So rather than singing like with this voice, I had to up my pitch a little bit like this. You know, because I was trying to sing in the style of Ron Dante. You know, this pretty face right here. I had to sound like a 23-year-old Italian singer guy. um, you know, doing a 16-year-old's voice or whatever. So that was tough. That was really tough. I'm a baritone, in case you couldn't tell by my sexy voice. So it's actually hard for me to sing in those higher registers. So I had to do that all while maintaining that kind of voice. You know, it was not easy to do. So now I actually did the one headphone approach. I actually had one headphone off while I record my vocals in the studio because it's my ear can kind of get screwed up or something when I'm just singing it with both headphones on. If I notice if I have one headphone off and I can actually hear myself with my own ears, then it's a lot easier. So I did that recording. Now here's the funny thing. I didn't know this, but Rupert Holmes, who I mentioned earlier, he yes, the Pina Colada guy. He was part of the Cufflinks, which Ron Dante did their first album, Tracy. So that's how I got into his music. And so, anyways, I heard him say on an interview when he recorded Jennifer Tompkins, which I guess the original lyrics were "Hop, skip, jump around, bubblegum has come to town" until the record label made them change the lyrics. So he said we changed it to "Poor White Trash" because we like writing about poor white trash. So they changed it to Jennifer Tompkins, but he said he did the same exact thing that I did. He, of course, or I should say, I do the same exact thing. You know what I mean. But anyways, so he did the vocal, or he he tried to make his voice sound younger, try to like make his voice sound higher. So it was raise the timbre of his voice, so it sounded like he was younger. And it's like, wow. So I mean, I did that before I even knew he did it. So it was like, because I wasn't into Rupert Holmes at the time I was recording the song. You know, it's only been like the past month or two I've been into his music. I want to say like late August is when I started listening to him. So that was pretty cool to know that. So I started doing the backing vocals, which again are like way higher. I really wish I could have got female vocalists to participate, but I didn't know anybody, and I didn't have the money to hire anyone, so I had to do them myself. So I had to do these like falsetto vocals, which is Ron Dante did a lot with the Archies. So, you know, I'm way up here, you know, you know, those took some attempts. Those took a few takes to get each one locked in. So And then of course there's the choruses. Now and then on top of that, everything is double tracked. Every vocal in that entire song is double tracked. So like during the chorus, that's 8 of me that you hear. I'm sorry. Sorry to your ears, but that's 8 of me that you hear on the song. So um but when it was done, it sounded great. And sometimes I would think I would have sang it perfectly or as close to perfect as I could. And Jason was like, "I think you could do better. Let's try that again." That I'm laughing because every time he'd like, "Okay, let's try it one more time," and then like 50 takes later, "Let's take it one more. Let's try it one more time." One more time. That was the freaking like catchphrase. So, again, Jason treated me very well, like he usually does. Never makes you feel pressured or anything. He's more like motivates you in a positive way rather than be negative about it. So that was great. Um, so, but unfortunately, I think near the end of the session, my voice was starting to give, or some. I just could not get those high notes. I was like, "Come on." Well, it already passed 9 o'clock, and Jason was like, "Look, man, I think you've exhausted your voice. So why don't you come back tomorrow, and we'll finish this thing off. I think you'll do a lot better." He's like, besides our time's kind of run up anyway. So I was like, okay. So I drove home, just kind of depressed and everything. But then I had to think for a minute. I had to stop and think, like, wait a minute. I recorded like almost every single instrument. All I got left is these backing vocals and the percussion, and then I'm done. I mean, then it's got to be mixed. That's gonna take a while, but if I could just get those things done in the first like 2 hours, I might have this. So, um, I came back the next day, and it still took a few attempts to get the rest of those backing vocals done. But I'll tell you, when I was done, oh man, it felt like a huge burden had been lifted off my shoulders. I was like, man, I'd almost say that was harder than the drum part. So we got that done, probably within like an hour or two, and then within an hour or two, I also did the hand claps and the uh, tambourine part. My God, that first take with the tambourine, my hand was hurting so bad. There was like the one that he had. There was like, I think it was like an LP brand or something, but there was just no comfortable way to hold it. So I was just doing. I don't normally play tambourine, so I'm trying to shake it at the appropriate times and everything. And I was like, oh man, my hand hurts, man. I feel like I'm getting arthritis. After like 5 to 10 minutes, I finally felt better, and we were able to punch in the mistakes that I made. And then, if I could stop getting notifications. Jeez, okay. But anyways, so after that, we recorded the hand claps. I did 2 hand clap tracks, and I those were also one take. I mean, I don't know how you'd screw them up. I thought I'd accidentally play a wrong rhythm, like versus just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, the problem was my hand clap sounded very flat. I think I was doing it like this, not on the palm. I was doing it on like the fingers. And Jason's like, well, he's like, it just sounds kind of flat, the sound. So he said, do you mind if I do this? So he worked his magic. And on Pro Tools, which he uses to record, he had like a hand clap sample, which he mixed in with my hand claps. At first, I was kind of against the idea, but then I was like, I trust him. I think I know what he's doing, and plus, like he showed me, it's not even noticeable. When I hear the hand claps in the song, I don't even hear that sample. It sounds like I'm the only one who plays. So, yeah, those hand claps were done in one take. It was, pretty easy, and I did the percussion and hand claps in the vocal booth, just in case you're wondering. So, I think that's about it. Now, there's one other thing too. Now, of course, this song's based on the Archies, where instead of the actual session players being credited, of course, like lead guitar was supposed to be Archie, Reggie Mantle on bass, Veronica on keys, Chughead Jones on drums, and Betty Cooper on the tambourine. Now, I almost thought about crediting a bunch. I thought about doing the opposite in this case and crediting a bunch of fake studio musicians that worked with me in the song. So I'd put like, I think I was going to put like for the drums, Phil DeRhythm or something like Feel the Rhythm. But I was afraid that someone might try to come along and say that they were one of the musicians and try to take credit for it when in reality I performed everything. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'll just credit this to myself. I'll credit it under my stage name, but I'll still credit it to myself because I don't want that to happen. Now, of course, Jason Shavy was not just the producer; he also mixed the track. So when I was done recording everything, we mixed it. That's another thing I need to point out about the recording process. It's almost like artwork or like a building, like making a building or something. The more you add to it, the more it cements itself, so that you can't go back and change stuff, like not easily. But this is especially true for the drum track. So if I told Jason like later on in the session or like right when we were about to mix, oh, I don't like that drum part, I want to go change that. It's like, well, you can't really do that. It's not going to work. So, anyways, so that's what we did. Or we didn't do that. Sorry, I'm speaking ahead of myself. So that was pretty much it. I actually ended up finishing about 2-3 hours early on the second day. So I actually didn't even stay for 10 hours. It's more like a 7 or 8 hour session. So I went home that day. Of course, he gave me like a rough mix of the song and everything. I also had him explored a couple versions that sounded like they were coming out of like an old radio or TV, because I wanted to hear the song as if it was on the Archie show, what it would sound like, and like that really bad quality. So, and again, I don't know whether or not I'll ever release those. I think I just got those for my own personal listening pleasure, but or maybe if I get like release like a greatest hits CD in like 20 something years or whatever, who knows. But that was it. I went home, listened to the song on my drive home, and I was like, wow. I had to like, I almost wanted to pull over on the side of the road and be like, I did all this. I mean, the producer helped and everything, but I recorded all that? Like, wow. Okay. So, I ended up, you know, it took me a long time because I had to get the art done for it, and I had to get the song mastered before I released it. Now, I do have ways of like mastering it with AI, but I don't trust AI. I'd rather have someone else do it. So, Jason got me in touch with a guy named Brad Blackwood, who runs a studio called Euphoric Masters. Now, again, I knew this guy was a pro. I knew I could trust Jason's word on it. What I didn't know is this guy works with some big names. He's even got a Wikipedia page. He's worked with like Maroon 5, Black Eyed Peas, Lamb of God. It's like, holy crap, this guy's gonna master my own song? Like, oh my gosh. That's cool. So, like I said, 225 for the mastering process, and I got it within like a couple days. It was really, actually, I think I got it the next day, the day right after I paid for it. I got it. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is so good, man. This sounds so good. Like, I can't wait to upload this. So I uploaded it on the 30th. I wanted to upload it a long time ago, but due to financial restraints, I wasn't able to do so. Because I wanted to release it in the summer, because it's more like, even the producer was like, Jason's like, this is like a summer fun kind of song, I like it. So, how long does this video go on? 30 something minutes? 43 minutes, wow. Yeah, it's, man, I guess the only other thing I want to talk about is the artwork. Now, I work with an artist on Twitter from Argentina named Pepperoni Ray, who does like all my song artwork. He's great. And so for this one, it's like I want people to know this is supposed to be based on the Archies. So I asked him, I showed him a picture of, like there's a photo online of the Archies like posing or whatever. And I asked him, could you replicate this? And if I'd thought of other characters to make, I would have had him draw those too, but I didn't. I only had my own guy, me. So I said, could you just draw me on all the instruments? Because that was another way of me saying I played all the instruments on this album. So he delivered. Now, it's not exact, but I didn't want it to be exact. I didn't, because I was paranoid about some kind of copyright thing or something. So, and then I had another friend of mine, because Ray doesn't do text design, so I had a buddy of mine in Peru do it. And I said make it like the Archie's text font, but don't like make it exact because again I don't want to get sued. So, um, and that was that. With that said, I think that about covers the whole song. I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, it's hard to believe, you know. For me, it takes a long time. I mean, again, wrote the song in May, and I recorded it in July, or recorded it in early August. Then I released it. I'm just releasing it now, right? You know, the day before October. Well, actually, kind of is October now, isn't it? So, um, you know, I like this thing too. When you play on the Vox organ, when you play the low keys, it sounds like a video game or something. Or something. It sounds kind of cool. But anyways, I really worked hard on this. Usually songs take a lot longer to do, but I was doing them in like 2 month increments, you know, giving myself a deadline. I actually have another song that I recorded before Nice Blue Eyes, and I haven't even finished that yet. I still need to do the vocal work. So maybe I'll release that like this month or next month or something. I got some free time, so we'll see what happens. But anyways, go download the song. Hope you guys, legally of course. Please, I need that money. I'm a starving artist. I need to, I need to survive. But I appreciate you guys supporting me, and I'm just looking forward to people listening to the song, having a good time with it. So I'll see you guys later. God bless. Peace out. Have a good one.